High school students must participate in a series of children's games with a deadly twist, all while trying to figure out why they're being tested. Welcome back to Recap Spot. Today we'll be reviewing the 2014 horror movie, As the Gods Will. The film starts with three students named Shun, Amaya, and Ichika, and we hear Shun's voice complaining about his boring life. The film then cuts to a classroom where Shun and his classmates are being forced to play a game with a Daruma doll. The game is called Daruma-san ga Karanda, and is very similar to Red Light, Green Light. The Daruma doll sits on the desk at the front of the classroom and has tasked the students with touching him while he's turned around. However, if he turns around and sees any of them moving, then he'll make their head explode in a mess of bloody marbles. Students begin dying one by one, causing the others to panic. They don't realize what the rules of the game are, and two of them try to escape out of the door of their classroom. However, the door is locked, and both boys are killed when the doll finds them moving. One of the students then notices a message on the back of the doll that says the game will end when one of them presses the button on the doll's back. A student tries to quickly run and press the button. However, the doll turns around and catches the student, killing him instantly. Shun notices a timer on the back of the doll, and he realizes that they have barely a minute to press the button before they're all killed. After hearing this, other students begin to panic and try to hit the button, but they all die. Eventually, Shun and one other boy are the only ones left, and the marbles covering the floor now make it impossible to reach the doll without slipping. The other boy tells Shun to jump on his back in order to reach the doll without slipping on the bodies, and Shun barely makes it in time. The two begin to celebrate until the Daruma doll declares Shun the winner of the game and kills the other boy. The film then cuts to a flashback, and we see Shun's old average life. While walking to school, Shun's friend suggests he asks out Ichika, a cute girl at their school who loves to play video games. But Shun says he just sees her as a friend. The two then pass by a kid getting beaten up by Amaya, the school's bully. We then see Shun in the class he was in at the beginning of the film. He's falling asleep, but gets woken up as his teacher's head explodes into marbles, and the Daruma doll appears. Back in the present, we see Shun standing in the aftermath of the Daruma doll's game, and he starts praying for God to return him to his boring life. The Daruma doll then tells Shun that he's a mouse and the cat is coming. Ichika then enters the room and is horrified to see all of the blood and gore. Shun asks if she knows anything, but Ichika has no clue what's going on. The two try to call the police, but find that their phones have no signal. They then try to leave the school, but all of the doors are locked. They then head to the gym, where they find the different students who have survived the Daruma doll's game, and everyone is wearing mice costumes. The students notice that a message has been written on the gym floor that reads, "Fit the cat's bell for it to end." The student president orders Shun and Ichika to put on the mice costumes, but they get interrupted when the court opens up and a giant plastic cat raises into the room. The cat begins eating the students, causing everyone to panic and run around. Shun and Ichika eventually notice a cat's bell with a timer on it rolling on the ground, and Shun realizes that the goal of the game is to dunk the bell through the hoop on the cat's collar. The star player on the school's basketball team tries to shoot the bell into the hoop, but the cat catches the ball and throws it back at the student, killing him in the process. Shun notices that the cat seems to only be eating the students who are wearing the mouse costumes, so everyone starts taking them off. That seems to work for a little bit, but while the students are celebrating, the cat suddenly starts eating them again. Everyone begins panicking once again, and Shun quickly puts on a mouse costume so that he can distract the cat. With the costume on, Shun notices that he can understand what the cat is saying, and it turns out that the cat wants them to scratch its back so it can sleep peacefully. Shun jumps onto the cat's back and starts scratching it while encouraging others to do the same. Eventually, the cat is able to fall asleep. Shun grabs the bell and gets ready to put it in the hoop, but the other students stop him because they're nervous that the person who throws the bell will be considered the only winner and be the only one who lives, just like with the Daruma doll. The students fight over who should get to throw the ball, and while they bicker, the cat begins to wake up. The cat starts killing off students again, and Shun and Ichika run off with the bell in order to hide it inside of a regular basketball. Ichika and Shun throw a real basketball alongside the bell basketball in order to trick the cat, but it doesn't matter because the real bell misses anyways. Luckily, Amaya jumps in at the perfect time and dunks the bell, finishing the game. The cat then declares that the only winners are Amaya, Shun, and Ichika. Amaya then begins killing the other students, stating that only the strongest deserve to survive, because that's what the gods will. Amaya says that he and Shun are the same, and both have what it takes to survive, but Ichika says that Shun is kinder, stronger, and smarter than him. This angers Amaya, and he tries to attack Ichika, but the cat releases a gas that knocks the three of them out. We then see a news report, and it turns out that these attacks are happening in schools all over the country. No one knows what is causing them, and it's being reported that they're a terrorist attack. The report then shows that large white cubes are hovering above cities, but no one has been able to find an entrance. People begin theorizing that the surviving students are God's children, or the victims of a weird alien invasion. We then see a homeless man walk outside and repair a radio just by touching it. Sometime later, we see Shun waking up in one of the cubes. He finds himself with survivors from other schools, including Takumi, a childhood friend, Tiara, a shy and quiet girl, and a smart but arrogant boy named Tauka. Shun tries to leave the room, but all the doors are locked, and Tauka says the only way to leave the room is by winning the game. A screen pops up and informs the students that they'll have to find keys in order to escape the room. 4 wooden dolls then enter the room and introduce themselves before saying that the students will be blindfolded while the dolls circle around them and sing. When the doll stops singing, the blindfolded student will have to guess which of the dolls is behind them within 10 seconds. If the students guess incorrectly, then they'll die. But if they guess correctly, then the dolls will explode and give the students one of the keys they need to go on to the next level. Tauka and Tiara go first, and both end up dying. Takumi is about to go next, but Shun insists on going first. Shun wins by paying attention to the differences in the dolls' voices, as well as by recording them with his phone. The dolls explode and leave behind a key that Shun grabs. Shun and Takumi leave the room and find a guy being chased by a monstrous doll. The guy asks them to hold his hand, saying that the doll won't attack them if they hold hands. The doll sees them holding hands and says he's jealous of their strong friendship. Shun looks at Takumi's necklace, and we see a flashback of Shun helping Takumi and keeping her from taking her own life. Back in the present, the students hear a girl screaming and run to investigate. It turns out to be Ichika running away from the monstrous doll, so Shun runs in and grabs her hand, saving her life. A nearby wall cracks, and a doll's face appears with a timer, as well as 7 keyholes. The students only have 5 of the 7 keys, until Amaya and another boy suddenly appear with the other 2 keys, before Amaya kills his companion. With all 7 keys, the students complete the game and the doll face declares them winners, before receding back into the wall and revealing a passage. The students are instructed to get into some nearby costumes and walk down the passage. It is then revealed that these trials are being broadcasted across the nation. The students find themselves in a large room covered in ice, and a polar bear appears and introduces itself. It says that the students will all be asked questions, and they have to answer the questions truthfully or else they'll die. The students are asked what their favorite food is, and everyone answers. The bear then says that someone is lying, and he gives the group 2 minutes to figure out who it is. Eventually, they pick the guy who said parsley was his favorite, and the bear kills him. The bear then asks if they all like Shun, and those who know him say yes, while everyone else says no. The bear once again says one of them is lying, and the students all vote on Takumi, leading to her death. Shun then yells that the bear is the one who is lying, which turns out to be true and causes the bear to turn black. With the last lie caught, the survivors all head to their final game. The participants are all taken to a temple where 3 wooden dolls congratulate them on making it this far. The dolls introduce themselves as fitness, intelligence, and imagination. They then reveal that the last game is kick the can for it to end. One of the remaining students will be chosen to be the demon, while the rest will be the victims. The victims have until the demon puts a can into a designated spot to hide. The demon is then tasked with capturing all of the victims by naming them and seeing their faces before putting them in prison. If the demon captures all of this and kicks the can, then he will be the winner. But if a victim manages to kick the can, then all of the victims will be considered winners. However, the victim who actually kicks the can will die, because the can will explode. Amaya is named, as the demon and the other students scramble to hide as Amaya places the can. Amaya then runs off in order to find the victims, and quickly captures 2 of them. Ichika distracts Amaya to save Shun, and gets herself imprisoned. After imprisoning her, Amaya taunts Shun, and says that he doesn't need to imprison him in order to win. Ichika tries to convince Shun to hide, but Shun puts on a suit of armor to cover his face, which will keep Amaya from imprisoning him. Amaya takes Shun's helmet off and gets ready to kick the can, but Shun secretly attaches a chain to Amaya and jumps off the temple into some water, dragging Amaya over. Amaya struggles to pull the armor out of the water, only to realize that Shun has pulled himself out of the armor and is running to kick the can. Amaya tries to run towards him, but Shun makes it there first and kicks the can. They prepare for the can to explode, but it turns out that the dolls lied about the can being explosive. The dolls announce that the victims are the winners, and Amaya grabs one of the dolls and says that he isn't supposed to die. The dolls then laugh and says that no one was supposed to die. Fireworks shoot off to celebrate the students' success. success, and the dolls provide the winners with some ice cream. Shun asks Ichika on a date while they eat their ice cream, and she accepts. Unfortunately, when their ice cream melts, they see a message on their stick. The dolls say that there's actually one more game, and this one purely comes down to luck. Amaya and Shun have sticks that say, "You live," while everyone else's says, "You die." The losers are all killed by the dolls, and Amaya and Shun are teleported in front of a crowd outside of the cube. The crowd cheers as Shun doubles over with despair at Ichika's death, but Amaya loves the attention. Shun says that there is no God, but one of the dolls says that God is real. We see the homeless man from earlier who fixed the radio, and it's implied that the man is God. Click one of the videos on screen right now.